Hi, this is just a quick demo and presentation of Stride. What we're trying to do is build the next generation of tools for the next generation of engineers. My name is Wake. I'm the founder leading product. I'm working with Aurel, my founder leading tech, and we're an experienced team of software plus structural engineers to work on this exciting product. So a little bit about myself. I'm a registered engineer and I worked as a structural engineer working on mass timber buildings mainly at a firm called Equilibrium Consulting, and I also worked as a software engineer for a number of years at AWS/Amazon, where I learned a lot of product and software development. The inception of this idea comes from my own experience as a structural engineer working at Equilibrium. So at the time we were working on this building that you see on the slides, I went through a lot of engineer toil during my work there. I found that the reviews were really difficult and hard. I'd had to wade through like pages and pages of Excel spreadsheets where I couldn't really understand, and it really drove me away from really deeply understanding and reviewing a lot of work. There was a lot of bad tooling to support the workflows that I wanted. I didn't really want to keep going into Bluebeam and then manually updating the equations or the results. I didn't want to have to keep dividing by 12 to convert from inches to feet, and all of those little things that add up to really hamper my workflow and efficiency doing design calculations. I experienced that there was a lot of loss of billable hours through uncaught mistakes in these unit conversions and in assigning variables and making sure things, the calculations flowed right. And overall, I saw that there was a lot of a lack of standardization and automation throughout the entire firm, and especially in the design and calculation processes. To wrap that all up, it was all done in sort of like these Windows 95-esque user experiences that I really hated. Why wasn't there any like really good modern design tools or calculation tools that I could use with good integrations? Especially after I transitioned into software and I saw what the potential of the industry and what the level of software could really be. I was really like, oh my god, okay, so structural engineering as well as traditional engineering in general has a lot of ground to cover to reach that level and beyond. The last point is really tracking file and project revisions in history. We as design engineers don't really do a good job of that, often doing something like 2012, October 5th, and then the name of the actual calculation file, and then your initials, and then revision 1, and then copy paste, and then revision 2, or something like that. The industry as a whole for software has moved so far past that I wish that I could bring a lot of those back into structural engineering as well as other design professions. So I'm going to go through the vision for Stride real quick, and then we're going to jump into a little bit of a demo to see what we have currently and where on the roadmap we are. We have a couple of different parts in our vision. The first part is a vision for modern tooling and a modern ecosystem where things can be integrated and extended. This is what we currently have. This is not vision, this is reality. This is what we built already. It's basically a very modern UI, a user interface, that allows you to go in, edit text, and create equations that can be reused, that can be dynamic, that can be updatable, and that has the intelligence you would expect from a modern engineering solution. Not something like Excel where all of the valuable information is hidden behind cells, but something where you can see the equations on the page directly so that you have that instant recognizability from your equations. This will also handle things like your units, as well as assigning variables, as well as writing math in a very natural way. So if you've written math in high school, then you can do something like this really easily, instead of going like equal sign D23 times F23 dollar sign or something like that in Excel. But that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of modern tooling is really we want to organize this in a more modular approach, and we'll get into that a little bit later after. As you can see, like you can even go in, change the units, update them to whatever you want, and then mix and match your units as well. The next step for this is to take things and then break them up into modular components. So for example, if you have a project where there's a file, where there's some like project specific values that you need to use over and over again, you can define them in one file. For this example, it's the loading for structural analysis, where you basically take the design loads for your dead load as your live load and create a file that has all of them, and then use those variables that you've defined across your entire project in your beam design, in your column design. That way things can be very modular, and you can organize things in a modular way and reuse components and make sure that there is less repetition, less overlap. So when one thing is dynamically changed, then everything else follows and changes alongside it, so that you don't have to go in and do a lot of rework. And another thing that's part of modern tooling is a lot of modern systems will have an extensions capability. So this is something that we're really excited about too, is the ability to extend Stride further. At its core, it'll be a calculations text editor, but with the ability to extend to eTabs or RFEM or Excel, or even getting access to open source Python libraries, we're able to bring all of that functionality into Stride through like an extensions API that anybody can write code for, that we ourselves will develop some first party API extensions for, to allow users to really tap into all of the resources and have all of the tools they need in Stride as well. That's a little bit about our vision for the modern editor, but we also have a vision for managing projects and ensuring high quality of projects. And this is something that we saw a lot as we talk to different firms, as we talk to different customers. So what we want to do is, we don't necessarily want to be, the next Monday or ClickUp or Notion, but there has to be a little bit of project management features in there. So what we want to do is create a really good framework around it. So this is just a sample project picker, but inside, at the root of each project, you have a page that clearly summarizes, okay, what else needs to be done? How many hours have we spent on this project? And how many have we built versus how many do we have left? What's the status of the project? Some basic information to allow us to start incorporate both the calculations as well as the project management into one place. And then the next topic is basically about quality and how we want to think about quality. So what we want to do here is make it so that the process of creating templates, building that proprietary knowledge base, and make it so easy that you're able to just create complete templates that people are able to contribute back to, that you can pull public templates that we create or our community creates, as well as save personal templates that you yourself can refer back to, as well as pull into your projects wherever necessary. We're thinking of templates not in terms of just the calculation files themselves, but in terms of entire projects. For example, you can define a project structure that you would like for your company. Then your employees can pull that default template for project structure and then create a new project with it in order to make sure everything is standardized, make handoffs really, really easy. Then on the right side of it is all of the capabilities we want to extend that with. So you create a calculation file in Stride, and then what you want to do with it is make it even more accessible. So we're thinking in creating the ability to publish these calc files online so that they're able to be accessed as web apps for your internal company employees or externally. Then they can just go in and fill in the numbers and then run the calcs that you've created on the back end with the Stride calc files. Okay, this is our vision for drastically improved reviews, and we think that this is going to be really exciting because we haven't seen a lot of solutions out there tackling the problem of reviews, of project history, of things like that in the industry. So this is where we're really excited to really dig into what we can bring over from the software engineering side into structural engineering side. In software, what happens is I work on a little bit of a project at a time, then I package it up, and then I send it off to the entire team. And because software is just lines of text, people can immediately see what the differences are between the project in its current form and the changes that I want to propose to it. What that means is people can actually look at the work that I've done incrementally as the project progresses and see basically the differences between the different files, between my changes and what's in the actual project right now. And then they can review it, they can comment, they can improve it, they can reject it, they can do whatever. And that creates this really cool linear timeline of each project. And I really want to bring that to structural engineering as well. Imagine like you set up the project, you do your initial loading, you do your typical bay design for any sort of engineering calculation, and then on each step you require approvals, and that becomes a discrete step that's baked into the project. So at the end of the project, you can retroactively go in and see every step of the way, what happened, who reviewed what, who did what, and have complete access over all of that information. Not to mention, if we do it this way, it really democratizes the information, the calculations, intelligence of the people in the firm to everybody in the firm. For example, if there was a senior that I really looked up to, then this will allow me to actually review their calcs. It doesn't have to be just a one-way communication direction for reviews between, the junior engineer and the project engineer or the senior engineer. It could be the junior engineer has some changes and then everybody in the firms or all the other juniors on the project is able to look at it, is able to learn from it, is able to actively contribute back instead of just occupying the senior engineer's time. So we think this would be a really, really good opportunity to adopt something like this, to have both the benefit of having a linear project history as well as spreading out the responsibility of reviews to everybody in the firm, not just the senior engineers. So a quick peek of what that might look like is in this calculation, for example, I'm going to add something new, something to calculate the char for this beam. And basically I would go in and type these couple of lines. What I would do is then go into there and then actually package up the changes, saying, okay, I want to commit these changes back into the project. And basically in this interface, it clearly shows you what has changed through the green for additions and then red for removals of different lines. And then there's also modifications. But what you can also see is that there's reviewers. So I can add in Jack Manson and Kim Possible to review my changes, and they're immediately able to see, okay, is this good? Is this bad? And because the changes are so small, they can review them really quickly and get an understanding of it really quickly as well. The last little bit of vision is, okay, how do we see Stride as well as how do we see structural engineering and other traditional engineering disciplines fitting in the post-LLM world? Large language models like ChatGPT have really revolutionized the way we do things and are going to continue to revolutionize the way we do things. So how do we utilize that to increase the efficiency and decrease risk that our firms encounter? And we primarily see it in two different ways. One is editor-based, LLM-enabled intelligence. So that means stuff like autocomplete, having an LLM that you can talk to help you write these different things. And then the other side of that is project level, almost like autonomous agents is where we want to end up. So these are LLMs with the ability to do function calls, perform specific tasks autonomously because they have the context of the project as well as of your prior projects. And that's exactly where we want to get to in the next couple of years as we build out the Stride platform. For example, this is a quick demo of what it might look like to have an autocomplete based LLM integration in Stride. So you type something and then a faint gray suggestion pops up. And you've probably seen this in Word a lot too, but imagine if it could do your calcs for you and can anticipate all of the things you need, including your formulas and equations and things like that. And then with respect to the project level intelligence, it's really thinking about, okay, how can I capitalize on a chain of these different LLMs to do certain things? For example, I might have a model that specializes in going through the project directory and extracting information. And then I have another agent that is capable of writing good proposals using that data. And then I can chain these together so that they're able to perform autonomous functions like proposal writing for a new project that's based on the type of projects that we've done before. For example, if we need to do a proposal for a hospital, then the data collection agent can come through your project database for hospital projects and then get the insight from there and then pass that off to the proposal writing agent who can then generate a proposal for that. Now let's hop into the demo and see how quick things can really be using Stride. So if we hop back here, we see that this is generally the welcome screen. This is what we currently have. If we just continue with our 18328 Grandview Highway project, and then continue with the beam design. So projects are basically just folders. So you can go into the folder and then open up the beam design file. And basically, we've just implemented a new feature called snippets, and I'm just going to demo that to you right now to see how fast we can create a beam design calc file, basically. So let's do snippets, and then I'll put in my inputs, and boom. I have all of the inputs that are needed for the Glulam beam design that I'm going to put in. Next, what I'll put in is the The calculations. And obviously this is exaggerated for effect, but you can do this with small sections of calcs and then improve the efficiency of your workflow. And then insert another snippet with the results. And this basically tabulates the resistances, the moment and the shear resistances of the beams that we're calculating. And it's 3 beams that we're calculating here. One that's 8 inches wide and 10 inches wide and then 16 inches wide. And then maybe we can have a little bit of a summary at the top here as well. So go back to snippets, go down to summary, and boom. And we see that all of our bending and shear checks are passing. So fantastic. Additionally, we can go in and beam sketch. Insert a sketch that will allow us to really express what we're trying to do visually here in this calc. And this is all live too, so you can go in and then edit the sketch whenever and update things as necessary. Okay, that's pretty much the end. So let's get back to the presentation. So overall, let's summarize. Right now, the problems that we see the most as design engineers is that there's a lot of bad tool integration, outdated design software. There's a lot of opaque calcs like you see with Excel. There's a lack of project history knowledge and a lot of issues handing over that project history between engineers. There's a lot of siloed knowledge and manual processes that really come together to make this experience of doing calculations a drag instead of maybe like a fun process. And then the opportunities that we have is the current realm of technologies that are rapidly iterating and coming out. So things like version control, the ability to do project history with Git, and the open source community with all of its brilliant tools and opportunities there. And then lastly, it's the LLM systems and AI agents as we work and progress towards the future. What can we actually do with these opportunities that we have? If we wrap all of that together, we have the solution that I've presented, which is basically Stride in its entirety. We have easy and extendable calcs, intelligent project insights, we have more collaborative and more informational reviews, and we can tap into the existing knowledge of the firm, have that augment all of our future work, and be able to do a lot more with a lot less. Thank you so much for listening to this, and if you have any questions or if you want to get in touch, here is my contact info. You can download Stride for free at get-stride.com and evaluate it commercially or use it non-commercially for free. Or you can just get in touch with me directly using that email over there. So it's Weikeq, W-E-I-K-E-Q-U, @getstride.com. Or find me on LinkedIn too. That works. Thanks everyone. Cheers.